Have you ever been in a conversation with a married woman, and for some reason the air just felt different? She wasn't flirting. She didn't say anything inappropriate, but something in the way she looked at you, the pause before she responded, the way her body leaned just slightly forward as you spoke, it made you stop for a second. Not uncomfortable, not clear-cut, just off. And maybe you told yourself, she's just being polite. I'm reading. Too much into it, but something inside you, that gut instinct you've learned to trust, whispered a different truth. See, here's something most men never talk about, and even fewer truly understand. Married women can feel attraction, not because they're looking to cheat, not because you did something to provoke it, but because they're human. In relationships, especially long-term ones, emotional hunger can grow quietly. Sometimes it's the lack of being seen, sometimes it's the absence of being heard. Over time, even strong marriages can become emotionally dry without anyone noticing, and then you walk in, not trying to steal anyone's attention, not flirting, not playing games, just being who you are, calm, grounded, present, a man with quiet strength, the kind of energy that doesn't demand anything, but makes the whole room feel it, and that's when something in her wakes up. It's not seduction, it's not even conscious, it's subtle, instinctual, a shift in energy, the kind of attraction that lives in micro-expressions, in silences that last a second too long, in questions that linger more than they should. But here's the point most men miss. That moment doesn't make her bad. It makes her real. It makes her human. We live in a world that wants to label everything, good or bad, loyal or disloyal. But real life isn't that clean. Emotions don't ask for permission before showing up. And sometimes connection happens where you least expect it. So the real question isn't, is this wrong? It's, what does this mean and what do I do with it? Before we dive into the 4 subtle signs, pause and ask yourself, have you ever felt that tension with someone? You weren't supposed to. Have you ever sensed something shift, even when no words were spoken? That's the kind of moment this video is about. And if you've ever been there, even once, stick around. Because what you're about to hear might explain everything you couldn't name. Attraction doesn't always arrive with fireworks. Sometimes it whispers. It's not the dramatic scenes we see in movies, the sweeping gestures, the bold lines, the intense stares that scream desire. No, real attraction, especially the kind that catches you off guard, often hides in the quietest moments, a look that lingers half a second longer than necessary, a slight pause in conversation that feels heavier than it should, a smile that's soft, delayed, as if it's remembering something it shouldn't. You see, many married women aren't chasing romance. They're not looking to cheat. But what they are craving, often without saying it out loud, is something deeper. To be seen again, to be heard like they once were, to feel desired, not out of obligation, but out of presence. You walk into a room, not with flashy confidence, but with that grounded masculine stillness. You're not talking too much, you're not trying too hard, and yet she feels it. Her nervous system registers something her mind can't explain. That's the paradox. You don't need to chase, and your presence speaks for itself. But here's where most men get it wrong. They think that because someone responds to them, they should respond in return. They confuse attention with invitation, but a stoic man, a grounded man, doesn't react impulsively. He notices, he feels what's in the air, but he doesn't feed the fire just because it flickered. Why? Because he knows something most don't. Not every connection is meant to be followed. Some are simply mirrors showing you who you are and who you choose to be. So if you've ever caught a look that said more than words could, if you've ever felt that silent pull but didn't know where it came from, that wasn't fantasy, that was energy. And the question isn't whether it was real. The real question is, what does a man of discipline do when the fire isn't his to touch? This isn't about seduction, it's about awareness. It's not about playing a role, it's about holding your frame. Because the most attractive man in the room is the one who doesn't need to prove it. Sometimes attraction doesn't speak with words. It speaks with silence and subtle reflection. Have you ever noticed someone copying your posture without realizing it? You lean back in your chair. A minute later, she leans too. You cross. Your arms, so does she. You tilt your head, raise an eyebrow, shift your tone, and there it is again, a mirror staring back at you. This isn't a game. It's not planned. It's what psychology calls the chameleon effect, a natural, unconscious behavior where one person mimics another's body language, expressions, or speech patterns to build connection. We all do it, often without realizing. So it's how humans bond, as to how we say, "I'm with you," without actually saying it. But when it's coming from a married woman, that's when things get complicated, because she's not doing it to manipulate. She's not even aware she's doing it. But deep down, her subconscious is responding to something, a feeling, a pull, a presence that disrupts the stillness of her world. And that present might be you. In a dry or emotionally distant marriage, a woman may find herself drawn, not physically at first, but energetically, to someone who simply sees her, hears her, or carries himself with a kind of calm, masculine gravity. She might not act on it, she might never admit it, but her body starts echoing yours, and that's where the first signal emerges. This doesn't mean you should jump to conclusions. It doesn't mean she wants something, and it definitely doesn't mean you're supposed to respond, because a stoic man, one who leads himself before he leads others, doesn't let ego cloud his vision. He sees the sign, he registers the moment, but he stays grounded, unshaken, because he knows not everything mirrored is meant to be matched. Sometimes it's just a moment, a flicker of energy passing through two people, and sometimes it's a quiet call that you were never meant to answer. So the next time you notice someone mirroring your movements, your gestures, your tone, ask yourself, is this connection, or is this a crossroads? Your awareness is power, and your stillness is the answer. Let me tell you something most men miss, and it's not because they're blind, it's because what's happening is quiet, almost noble, almost harmless. But it's not. When a married woman begins to open up to you emotionally, deeply, vulnerably, it's not just casual connection anymore. It's not just friendly conversation. It starts slow. She tells you something from her past, a childhood fear, an unfulfilled dream. Maybe she jokes about her husband, not cruelly, but with a tone that feels a little too raw. She says, "I can tell you things I can't even tell him." And right there, that's the line. You see, most affairs don't start in the bedroom. They start in confession. They start in those little spaces where someone feels emotionally seen, finally. When she shares her doubts, her wounds, her hopes, not because she has to, but because she wants to. She's shifting, emotional. Loyalty, maybe without realizing it, but it's happening. Here's what makes it harder to catch. It doesn't look wrong. You're just listening. You're just being kind. You're just being present, which, by the way, is rare in her world, and that presence becomes magnetic. But here's the key difference between a grounded man and a reactive one. The grounded man hears it all and doesn't need to step in. He doesn't confuse emotional access with emotional invitation. He doesn't take her vulnerability as a cue to rescue or pursue, because true strength, stoic strength, is the ability to hold space without crossing into it. So if a woman is suddenly trusting you more than she trusts the man she vowed her life to, don't celebrate that. Recognize what it is. It's not just trust. It's emotional drift. And if you're not careful, you'll become the shore she clings to, without even knowing how deep the tide is. So ask yourself, are you being a refuge or a reason? Your stillness, your discernment, your respect for boundaries, that's your strength. Because not every confession is an invitation. Some are just storms looking for silence. Let's talk about energy, the kind that doesn't speak but moves through a room. You've probably felt it before. A woman who one moment seems cold, detached, like she's creating distance, and the next moment, she's laughing too. Hard at your joke, holding eye contact a little too long, or brushing her hand against yours with that oops look that isn't quite accidental. You start to wonder, what's going on here? One minute she's guarded, the next she's wide open. This isn't randomness. It's not just mood swings. It's internal conflict, the quiet war between desire and discipline. You see, when a woman feels something she doesn't believe she's supposed to feel, especially towards someone outside her relationship, her body will often reveal what her words try to hide. You'll notice things, that pause when your eyes meet, and then she quickly looks away. The way she adjusts her clothes when you walk by, the nervous fidgeting when she thinks no one's watching, the sudden shift in her tone when it's just the two of you. She's not playing games. She's not trying to manipulate you. She's battling herself between what she feels and what she knows she shouldn't act on. This is where a man's maturity is tested, because a boy chases signs. A reactive man takes mixed signals as an open door. But a stoic man? He simply sees the moment for what it is, not an invitation but a signal. A glimpse into someone else's struggle, and he doesn't judge it. He doesn't lean in. He doesn't pull away. He holds his ground, steady, present, unfazed. Because he knows, not every flicker of attraction needs to become a flame. Some things are meant to be witnessed, not pursued. So if you ever find yourself wondering why her body language is all over the place, ask yourself this instead. What does her confusion require from me? Temptation or stillness? Because how you hold your energy in that moment defines the kind of man you are. It often starts with a smile and a line that sounds like a joke. You must be a heartbreaker. I bet women chase you all the time. I wish my husband noticed things like that. On the surface it seems playful, casual, even innocent. But make no mistake, these aren't jokes. They're emotional tests. What she's really doing is this. She's placing a small breadcrumb in front of you to see if you'll follow it. These subtle remarks aren't random. They're calculated probes, a way for her to gauge your response, without having to say anything too revealing. Because if you flirt back, she knows the door can open just a little wider. But if you stay grounded, if you smile without feeding the spark, she'll likely pull away. Not because she's offended, but because she now knows where the boundary is. And here's the truth that most men miss. Your response defines the entire dynamic. Most men take the bait. They mistake curiosity for invitation. They confuse being noticed with being needed. But a stoic man, he doesn't bite the hook. He doesn't get flattered or offended. He just stays still, unmoved, respectful, present, because he understands something deeper. Attraction is not a command. It's a signal. And just because someone throws a spark doesn't mean you need to light a fire. See, emotional testing isn't about games. It's about discovery. It's her way of figuring out, can I be seen here and still feel safe? So when she makes those comments, the real question isn't about her, it's about you. Will you use that moment to validate your ego, or will you use it to confirm your strength? Because the most powerful man in the room is the one who knows exactly when not to move. Let's pause here, not to react but to reflect, because not every compliment is harmless, not every lingering glance is just politeness. Sometimes what looks like nothing means everything. You didn't ask for the attention. You weren't seeking it. But it found you anyway, quietly, subtly, in a glance, a smile, a tone that said more than words ever could. And here's where the real test begins. Most men, they take attention as validation. They chase after it like thirsty men in a desert, hungry to feel seen, hungry to feel wanted. But a strong man, a high-value man, doesn't need to be fed by every glance that comes his way. Why? Because he understands that strength isn't in how many women want you, it's in how few can move you. Let that sink in. The modern world teaches men to prove their worth through conquest, through numbers, through approval. But a deeper kind of masculinity lives in restraint, in choosing not to respond, in choosing peace over performance, stillness over validation. The truth is, we can't always control who's drawn to us, but we can always control who we choose to let in. So when attraction shows up, uninvited, the question isn't, what does she want from me? It's, what kind of man am I in this moment? Because your reaction is your reputation. Your silence is your boundary. Your stillness, that's your power. A weak man is loud. He flaunts, he brags, he takes every opportunity like it's a prize. But a grounded man, he knows that the right energy recognizes itself, and the wrong energy is never worth the cost of your peace. So don't let attention define you. Let discipline refine you. Because in the end, it's not the man who gets the most attention who wins. It's the one who knows when to walk away, without ever needing to turn back. Let's bring it full circle. Attraction by itself isn't wrong, it isn't evil, it's human, natural. What makes it dangerous is when you disrespect its boundary. Because sometimes temptation doesn't come in the form of wild seduction. Sometimes it wears a wedding ring. Sometimes it walks into your life in silence, with soft eyes, small talk, and a story that never asked to be heard, but you listened anyway. That's when the test begins. Not of desire, but of character. Anyone can be charming. Anyone can get attention. But what separates a man from a boy is what he does with the attention he didn't ask for. You see, real strength, true masculine power, is quiet. It's not about how many women want you. It's about how few can move you. Because when you're grounded in who you are, you're not controlled by the energy around you. You choose what energy you allow to shape you. Temptation will come. It always does. In the form of a compliment. A gaze, a hand that lingers just a second too long. And in that moment, you'll have a choice. Will you let the ego take the wheel? Or will you let the deeper man in you, the one guided by values, not validation, make the call? You didn't come here to collect admiration. You came here to build discipline. So here's the paradox. Be the man she remembers. Not because you chased her, but because you didn't fall. Not because you wanted her, but because you wanted yourself, your boundaries, your peace, your code, even more. That's what makes a man unforgettable. Not how far he goes, but how deeply he's rooted. Stay still, stay sharp, stay stoic. If there's one thing I want you to take away from everything we've talked about in this video, it's this. Choose awareness over shame. Because awareness is clarity. It's the quiet strength of a man who sees what's unfolding. Both. In others, and within himself. Without needing to label it, justify it, or run from it. Shame makes you hide. Awareness makes you grow. And when you're walking through the complexities of human connection, where feelings don't always follow logic and attraction shows up uninvited, the man who's aware is the man who walks with peace, not guilt. You don't have to act. You don't have to react. You just need to see clearly and hold your ground. So if anything in this message resonated with you, if you've ever felt that silent tension in a conversation or noticed signs you couldn't explain, I want you to drop one word in the comments: aware. That's it. No judgment, no backstory, just that one word. Because in a world full of noise, stillness starts with self-recognition. And if you're ready to go deeper into this journey, into mastering your emotional presence, your masculine strength, and your inner calm, then you're in the right place. Subscribe to Stoic Heart Daily, where we talk about the kind of power that doesn't come from chasing, but from standing still. Not to impress, but to understand. Not to dominate, but to discern, and not to react, but to lead from within. Until next time, stay aware, stay grounded, and above all, stay stoic.